Live with Tony broadcast on Monday evening. And as you all know from listening to my broadcast, when we have a weekend to read, I can get myself into a lot of good, interesting studies that I want to share with you, and a lot of information that I just want to find that's being helpful. And this goes with no exception in this coming weekend. This one kind of scratched my head a little bit. We're selling now, yours free, you can get brain puzzle books. Brain puzzle books, and I say yours free, but you're going to pay, after you keep the puzzle books, you're going to pay $20. And I say, wait a minute, we send you free puzzle books to help boost your brain power. Brain Sharper research shows that puzzles and games can reduce your susceptibility to dementia in later years. So we're going to enhance and magnify and strengthen and amplify. And I say, wait a minute, we're doing puzzle books. Is there anything better than helping your brain than the 6 elements of brain health that I have been talking about for the last year? And one of them is learning new things. Now, is a puzzle book, I do them. I do crosswords, I do Sudokus, I do word searches. So I do puzzle books, kinds of stuff. But what I really find myself gaining the best insights to my brain health is really mental challenges, things that I'm learning and new, and how do I distill those messages and share them with people, and what are the elements around that can really make a difference in teaching people a skill that they can use every day in their life. So as I was reading this and talking about, we get free books and then pay $20 after you keep them, I'm like, okay, how do we get people to realize they can improve their memory? And this was my issue on Friday during the trust broadcast, which is if people can only trust in themselves and believe in their own ability to learning some new skills, no matter what their age is, and learning some new skills on learning how to become super learners, isn't that far better than anything else that we can do and share with them? So that's my close on Friday and building trust, and coming back to the Maximum Memory Mastery online course, which has got the elements of 6 elements of expand into its own separate course. So as I'm thinking about the work that we're now doing and laying out that course and the 6 elements of brain health, here comes an article I read over the weekend, Ways to Bring Nature Indoors. Ways to Bring Nature Indoors. And I think I've talked to you about this. They've discovered that even for people looking at pictures of waterfalls or streams or trees or having some aromatherapies in your house that bring back the sense of pine or different elements of being in nature, have huge benefits for your overall brain health and your stress and your ability to be resilient. So as I'm reading this article, our connection to nature makes elements from plants to wood paneling soothing in your home decor. Research suggests that during the winter, we spend 90% of our day indoors, and there's more awareness now of how our surroundings impact our well-being. I talk about that in the brain health as part of our stress and resilience. So how do we find our space in our own residence? How do we find space when we have family and we're confined to what I say, just get out of that domain for a bit. Just give yourself some space. It's either quiet space in your residence, whether it's a condo or a small apartment house where you can go back and forth inside the different rooms of your house. But how do you find that space where you let nature give you some help? They have a term they call the love of nature, is now a fairly new science. It only really started, the love of nature, in 1984, and describes the positive impact experienced when you sense nature's sight. So you can look at nature, as I said to you, in pictures, and I'll show you a picture that I look at quite a bit. You see the palms in the back of me here with the plants and the greens. Let me show you there on my wall. As you can see that, over to that picture, you get a better view of it. Man, I can smell the ocean smells. I can hear the birds that are flying and the gulls that are squawking. I can listen to the sound of the waves in the water. As I share with you over here, the pictures that I have here, I can stop and look at those, and I just get a calmness about it. And so I find that these different elements of nature indoors are a fabulous help. We're even going to talk about flowers. Look at the flowers. I'm buying flowers every couple of weeks, and we'll put them in with different colors. I'm a fanatic about the different coloring of flowers and how that impacts things. So this has been something I've done for years. I've read studies about people in hospitals that are given views of nature as part of their room experience, or their rooms look out at nature. I have been in science for years that say people who are looking at windows in hospital rooms that connect to nature have shorter recovery times and take less pain meds. So this is not new, but here I see a whole article on ways to bring nature indoors. So I found that really interesting, and so there have been some studies published in the medical journal Lancet, Lancet, and in that, the research is showing the design of views of nature to the floor design have an impact on people's thinking and how they feel in a given day, which then ties into the element of brain health called stress and resilience. So what can we do in our own residence to bring some of that forward? And I found this absolutely fascinating because there's the University of Oregon, Dr. Richard Taylor, notes that naturally occurring groups that are easy for the eye to understand can calm the human nervous system. Now, what's he talking about? Well, a natural grouping might include recurring patterns, such as leaves on a branch. Leaves on a branch. So take a look, leaves on a branch. How often I will look at this plant and look at the leaves on the branch and just come over and stare at them and see if they're drooping. I say, oh, if they're drooping, maybe we need some water. But leaves on a plant are recurring patterns that calm our brain, that put us into a more positive mental outlook, which is all about our elements of brain health in our maximum memory mastery that we talk about on how do we improve our overall brain health, which then enhances our memory and minimizes our risk of dementia. So we're going to look at leaves on a branch, tree bark. So now look at some of the furnishings that I have here in terms of looking at wood, right? We favor some wood. And I sit some days and I'll just sit on a sofa and I'll just stare at this and it's just, wow. So the different woods that we have and the different colors that they make in our residence. How about snowflakes? My good, if you're getting up in the Northeast, you're getting lots of snow these days. But how about looking at snowflakes and possibly staring at them coming down? I always remember being in the Northeast until I had to go out and shovel it, watching snow come down. As long as we had a fire with some logs on the fireplace, sitting inside and cozying up and watching the snow until it was over. And then you have to go out and shovel it, which is not so much fun. And that's why moving to Florida was one of my goals, not wanting to chop ice off windshields or shovel it anymore. How about ocean waves? I showed you the picture there before, and I said I can hear the waves, I can listen to the birds, I can smell the salt water from the ocean. So looking at ocean waves. So now what can you do about this? So now we're talking about different leaves, and we're talking about different snowflakes or tree bark, waves. So what do? Well, you select, here's what this professor is suggesting. Select materials with these patterns for an accent pillow. So you have an accent pillow you want to put on a sofa? Find one with some plants or trees or flowers on it. If you go to some stores, I mean, especially here in Florida, some of the stores, they put these bright flowers on and you just look at these pillows and the color, and it just changes your whole mental set. What you want to go from an accent pillow? How about wall hangings? What are you putting on your walls? So he talks about wall hangings. So create wall hangings as I've shown you, with pictures of outdoors or leaves and trees, plants. Suggested, you know what? Get some jars or bottles. Right? We all have empty jars. We all have some empty bottles. Well, what are you going to put in them? Sand? Wow. Just look at a bottle of sand and get yourself back to the ocean. Rocks, pebbles. Can you put some tree bark in them? And even dried leaves. There should be plenty of dried leaves around if you get underneath the snow if you're in the Northeast. So you can create your own benefits by just having a few jars. So I think of our bathrooms. We have a couple of vases in the bathroom, and it's got sand and pebbles in it. Again, very soothing, very peaceful, things that you can do to take control in bringing nature into your life every day So that as you just look at this, it's amazing how our minds work, and we look at these things and we're not even consciously aware of them, and what a huge difference they can make on our mental health. Thus, our ability to learn, become super learners, and pick up memory skills that we never thought we could pick up. I want to look at the lines on a vase, or swirls, or a crocheted comforter or rug. So I know we have a lot of people that we talk with love to do crochet, and they love to do rugs, and say, how about putting some plants and flowers inside of the crochet patterns that they're working on? Put some bright colors in there and make it alive. I showed you flowers. How about going out? And lots of stores now carry flowers in their supermarkets. If you can get yourself in and sneak a few flowers out and buy a small bouquet and put those up. I know I showed you the bouquet that I have on the table. We also, as they start to dwindle and die off, we take little pieces and put them in a little dish, and we put them on a kitchen counter. If we eat breakfast there some mornings at the kitchen counter, just looking at the flowers and the different colors of yellows and reds. And when I go pick out flowers, I'm totally obsessed with the mix of colors and how do I mix them. If you ever watch me buy flowers in a store, you'd say, what is this guy doing? I'm looking at the colors that just vibrate for me and that bring me to a sense of calm and level of peace, level of mental health, especially during some very stressful times as I keep reading more and more about vaccines and kids and families and suicides and stresses and people feeling trapped and isolated. And so these are some of the things that we can each do in our own houses, in our own lives, that if we don't have a yard and we don't have a garden and we don't have nature accessible to us that easily, that we can do that makes a difference in our own mental health and our own ability to deal with the challenges that we face during some really challenging times. And you can do that inside your home with rugs and patterns, towels. God, there's so many different ways that you can do this, and that makes such a world of difference that you may not even be aware of. And so that is my reading for this weekend. I thought this was a really, really fantastic article. It matches so much of the things that I've done, and I wanted to share this with my Live with Tony audience, because if any of you can just pick up an accent pillow or towel or do some knitting or get some flowers somewhere or bring a couple of plants that you tend and care for, and that can make a difference for your mental resilience and your ability to deal with a bad day or some difficulty in your life right now. It's just one small thing you might be able to do and not even be totally mindful of that can make a huge difference to your mental health, which then can bring you back to the elements of brain health that we talk about in our Maximum Memory Mastery online course. So until Wednesday, have a good week. Let's start it off with some flowers, plants, trees, bark, wood. Look at a bird, listen to a sound of nature. Pick it up on Wednesday evening in the 5 o'clock hour. Have a good week.